That CPT NA West was godlike. The UK and Ireland was just as amazing. And I'm expecting the same thing from this storied region being France, Spain, Portugal.
Definitely. I mean, it's definitely a storied region because, they've been representing in Capcom Cup for a long time. Luffy was kind of the guy carrying the torch for many years, but let's not forget, this is one of our favorite stats to bring up. Mr. Crimson, the guy who won the very first Street Fighter V CPT event ever. He won, Kane's Winter Clash on February 26, 2016. Wow. 2016. We've come a long way. February 26th.
I had never been to an offline event in my life in 2016.
Right.
That's crazy.
Things have changed. We've come a long way. So that's why we like to take this moment to take a look back at kind of all the players from these regions who have been a part of Street Fighter V's history. So yeah, Mr. Crimson kicked off all of CPT, winning that event with Laura, which, he hasn't rocked Laura at all. We've seen Dulcim and the Luke occasionally. Yeah, Mr. Crimson, he actually qualified for Capcom Cup that year, but then from that point forward, from the France, Spain, Portugal region, it was all Luffy. Luffy qualifying in 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, getting voted in by the people, by everybody in France. I mean, that was a beautiful thing to see, the whole country rallying behind him. I mean, the French community really rallies behind their players, and Luffy's been that guy. Evo champion Luffy, he's been the representative for so long. So you cannot talk about French Street Fighter without mentioning Luffy for sure. But there's been, a lot of other players in this region who've been representing for a long time. I was looking back at some of the old results, and it took me back down memory lane a little bit. One guy who was cooking up in 2016 that season was Will Tupac, also repping Laura at that time.
Yeah.
He was ranked 33rd in CPT in 2016, like right before the cutoff. I think it was like 31st or 32nd was actually the cutoff for that CPT to qualify for Capcom Cup. So he just barely didn't make it into Capcom Cup in that year to have 3 French players in the CPT. But he's still around playing. He's rocking more Lucia these days. So shout out to Will Tupac. He's been in the mix for a long time. Another big one, TKR, I wanted to give a shout out. Chun-Li, specialist, been in the scene for a long time, repping.
Do you know what TKR stand for?
No, did you ever find out?
No.
Oh, I thought you were about to. We'll have to find out. I thought you were about to drop some knowledge on me here.
No, I'll never.
All right, TKR, let us know. Give us the inside scoop if you can. But yeah, he's actually in this bracket again, so we'll see if he goes far. I always have high expectations for him. He's one of the main players rocking around in that Gfinity era. I looked back at those old results too. The French teams were cooking in Gfinity. They had multiple seasons, and he was one of the main players in there, doing a lot of work. Junior Leo as well, French Ken player, who qualified in LCQ in 2018. They qualified with Big Bird to show you like how different the world of Street Fighter was back then.
Yeah.
Red Bull Big Bird was fighting alongside them to qualify.
He's been on Red Bull for like years at this point.
Right. Yeah, different era of CPT, different era of Street Fighter V. So we've seen a lot of different players throughout the years, and a lot of them still competing to this day, which is awesome to see.
You gotta bring up, of course, we talking about this CPT region. We gotta go to Spain and bring up my man's Vega Patch.
Of course.
I feel like Street Fighter League is when I really got to like more so know him because of course hosting it there, and then him and he's representing team Vodafone Giants, and I feel like people were really surprised when it comes to Vega Patches, even like his personality. He's a very fiery type of dude. Like when his team is playing, he's talking a whole lot of trash or yelling, hyping stuff up, and he's kind of like a funny, quirky type of guy, as I guess you would expect from a Fang player who named himself after a completely different, also not top tier character.
He trips me up with that every time. Every time I talk about Vega Patch, I start saying Vega, and I know he plays Fong, but it gets me every single time.
You have to, though. I feel like the first time where his name really got put on the map, at least in my opinion, it might have been a combo breaker, but whatever event it was,
he beat Smug?
Daigo. No, I think he beat Daigo.
Daigo.
Didn't he?
Oh, he did. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Combo Breaker 2019, 2-0 over Daigo. Interesting.
Daigo. And then the crazy thing, though, is like the way that it ended. So he beats him, like at the end, he does like a jump back instant overhead on defense. And then he like gets up and turns to Daigo and was like, he like bows to bowed to Daigo
no.
after he beat him. Like Daigo was probably like, man, if you don't get to bow to me after you just beat me, man. Like
He should have taken the photo. That's what I would have done, right?
yeah, oh yeah, you're right. Now you're free to take the photo after that. Like, bro, could you imagine? I actually might do that to troll someone at Conquer Breaker now that you bring it up.
No.
So if I do, then it's on you. But yeah, Vega Patch, I think that's when people first started really hearing his name ring after he beat Daigo there.
Very consistent. One of the strongest representatives, not just in Spain, but Europe in general. These players, like we've always mentioned, you might think of them in a bubble. Like this, oh, they're only good in this region. No, these players have beaten your favorite players. Maybe sometimes it's been off stream. Maybe it's in a pools match you didn't watch. If you look up the stats, if you're in the know, these have been some of the strongest players of all time in Street Fighter V, and you have to put some respect on their names.